Hey guys, Samuel Larsen here from growgurus.com, and today we are going to go over if you should do A/B testing or not. So in general, one of the best kept secrets in the CRO industry is sample sizes, and there's a lot of incentive for agencies and CRO freelancers to run A/B tests that are not really valid. And then there's a lot of focus on the case studies, especially the big ones, on A/B testing winners, because those are the ones that you can prove that this CRO program improved results by this much. So that's why you have this constant skew in the CRO world that you should do A/B testing, and there seems to be almost a confusion of CRO equals A/B testing, which of course A/B testing is just part of CRO and many of the different things that you could do. This is a kind of a personal topic for me as well, because it is something that I understood only 3 to 4 years into my career as a CRO specialist. And most CRO agencies or specialists or freelancers, they don't have this many years under their belt either. So they're they probably don't even know anything about statistics. They don't really understand the math behind it, etc. And you, as a store owner, having so many different balls in the air, you probably have even less of an idea. So that's why it's very important to watch this video. In just a few minutes, you will learn probably the most important thing when it comes to testing. Because if you don't understand this, you can simply run in circles for years and years. And here also it's good to understand the incentives that many agencies would be best suited in running statistically insignificant or kind of like fake winners. Just because you end up getting lucky on some tests and unlucky on some tests. So you could basically run the same page versus the same page, and you will get those outside results every once in a while if you are not statistically quite strict. So for example, we have this 80% confidence of this variant page being better than the control, so the original losing. And that just means that 4 out of 5 cases, it will be better. 1 out of 5 cases, it will not be better. So by default, 4 out of our 5 tests will fail, but 1 out of 5 will show a lift. And that means that you can then celebrate the results with the client, etc. Or celebrate them internally, get someone promoted, etc. And that's very dangerous, because then you end up in a situation where after a whole year of testing, you just have winning tests. And there you look at the overall percentage of those combined and find that your store's conversion rate should be double the way it is right now. And then it's a little bit of head scratching, why is this, if you don't understand this concept. So let's jump into a calculator, and then I will calculate a couple of typical scenarios for you and show how you can do that as well. Alright, here we are at Google, and before you really doze off and kind of think that I was terrible at math at high school, etc., I'll promise to keep this non-nerdy, fun, lighthearted, so you can learn something, and we'll crack into it. So basically, I'm Googling CXL A/B test calculator here, and just take the first result. Here, what you're looking to do is a pre-test analysis. So here you have then your numbers. And here, if you are doing this with Google Optimize will count sessions. And most of you probably should do this with Google Optimize. So you would just put your number of sessions on this calculator. So say you are getting 60,000 sessions per month. And then your conversion rate is 1%. So you are getting 600. Now here, you have to make a calculation here, because these are weekly numbers. So 60,000 per month is say roughly 15,000. And then here, roughly 150. And you always have a number of variants at 2. So basically you have the control and the variant. We'd generally recommend to not test more than 2. Now, there is a nerdy element to this calculation. And that's one thing that we're going to ignore here, is the statistical power. But here we have our conversion rate at 1%. Now we want to pick how certain we want to be about our winner. The default here is 95%. I think 95% is a little bit of an overkill. It means you'd want to be 1 out of 20 maximum kind of like false positives. Here, I think we are able to assume a lot more risk than that, just because we are probably a small store, etc. And we want to move faster. So I'm just going to use 80%. Now notice that the difference between 80 and 95% is actually quite huge. If 95% means that 19 out of 20, so 95%, will be winners, this 80% will mean that it would be basically 16 out of 20. So the false positive rate is 4 times higher. Alright, so we're going here. And generally with e-commerce, you would not want to run a test more than 4 weeks. That's what's generally considered a business cycle. There's some downsides in running it longer. Of course, your testing program will slow, but also people's cookies start to get deleted and that kind of thing. So there's quite a bit of problematic elements coming from that. And it's generally considered okay to run smaller or shorter tests if you have the results, because the behavior can change month over month or like even within a month, because people are getting paychecks at different times, etc. So different messaging might work at different times. However, generally that's considered to be a small effect. So with these numbers, you'd actually have to have a 13.7% lift to be able to detect it. I'm going to zoom into here to use this excellent explanation of what that actually means. So this is the minimum which can be reliably detected, where reliably refers to the power of a test. So that's actually quite a complicated explanation. I thought it was a little bit more simple. But basically, anything over 13.7 or at that level, you will be able to state that this is 80% certain or more. Anything less than that will be an inconclusive test. So it will be something less than 80%. And this 13.7 goes both for winners and losers. So if you have a losing variant over 13.7%, you'll also be able to tell that. Now, these numbers can vary quite a bit. So say your conversion rate's 4x here, and suddenly you're getting 600. Now you only need 6.7% winners. And in general, I gotta say, like 6.7% is already quite difficult to get. You need to most likely do more major changes than what you typically see on these A/B testing case studies, etc. So it is not an easy task, and that's why A/B testing generally is quite reserved for the big guys, where they can benefit from it because they will be able to A, test faster, B, see smaller lifts and be able to detect them. So it's not just randomness. Now notice here that if I change the weekly traffic number from 15,000 to 6,000, so if I actually 4x this, it has barely no impact on this at all. So 6.8% compared to 6.71% here when it was 10x smaller. So that kind of shows one typical mistake people have when they think of whether they can A/B test or not. It's really not about the traffic. It is about the conversions. And conversions are the element that make the difference when it comes to testing lengths and being able to state that like this is going to be a winner or not. So whenever I have a store owner come to me, tell me I have this much traffic and I test, I instantly know that they don't really fully know what they're talking about and they would need a little bit of a better understanding of this. And this then can also be broken further down with segmentation. So for example, if this is all traffic, then you would probably want to break that into mobile and desktop and see how those perform differently if it is more of a device related test. So that's that. Of course, like if you want to notice those mobile and desktop ones, you need to basically have a double the traffic if you have that 50-50 device split. Now, e-commerce is a vast topic, and that's why we cover it here on this channel. I also run an agency called CRO Gurus, so you can check us out at crogurus.com, where you can learn more about our coaching consulting services. And definitely subscribe to the channel. I made this channel to be very course-like, that you will not need to pay anything. If you don't want the team of mine to help you with your store, it's completely fine. Use these resources for free, and hopefully we can help you launch your store to a level where you can become a client. Cheers and thanks for watching.